Okay, I bet you're wondering why I have all these meters stacked up on this table, right? Well, let me explain to you why I got all them meters up on this table. Because it's only going to be 1 meter and all these is going to test these capacitors properly. Now I got 3 different capacitors there, and probably $250 to $300 worth of meters. Only one of them is going to do it the right way. So let's get started. Move all these out of the way. This is an A380L meter. Picked it up on Amazon or someplace. And if you look close, I'm gonna try to get it where you can read it without blurring this autofocus camera. It doesn't have the setting that we're gonna need. And the setting we're gonna need is what you see right there. That arrow's pointing down. If it doesn't have this setting on it, right there, you're not gonna test this capacitor. So we can rule this one out. It ain't gonna happen with that one. Now we got a nice little south wire, and this is a 21005N. Now this is a different meter. Use it to check your amp draw amps, whatever you want to call it. Online clamp, really a good meter, but that one ain't gonna test these either. Now if you look at it, it's got a symbol that looks kind of close, but I can't get it to test these capacitors at all. So I'm taking that one out of the picture. Then you got another one of these new Klein XC6013L. Well, let's look at it. Does it have anything on there like that? You got 2 UF. When we're trying to use it, nah, ain't nothing on there gonna work for it. That's 3 meters down. Now we're gonna go back to my old trusty Klein tools, and this is an MM300. I've had this old meter for probably 3 years, maybe 4. God knows, maybe even 5. Now, looking at it, it does have, let's roll around right here. See how it's got it right there? But it's not like that. It looks close to it. See if I can get it up a little closer. Hopefully it won't blur out on you. Looks something that's similar to it, but it's still not going to test this capacitor. Good meter for other practical uses, testing voltages and AC, DC. Really good meter. So I went down, I picked up a Klein tools, and this is a, let's see what model it is. MM450, come with this nice pouch. Really a nice meter. So far, this is the only one I found that I test these capacitors with. Now, if you look at it closely, you'll see it's got that symbol that I was trying to tell you you're going to have. Let's see if I can get it up there where it doesn't blur out. Right there. I know there's probably many of you, just like myself, that when we started testing capacitors, didn't know what to look for. But if your meter doesn't have that setting, that symbol right there, which is the same symbol that's right here, you're not going to test no capacitor. So now that we know what kind of meter we need, let me show you how to test the capacitor. So run that to that setting right there, and I'll get it up a little closer so you can see that. Hopefully it won't blur. Set to 0, 0, 0. Now something I don't like about this is it doesn't have a stand on the back of it. Neither does this. I wish it had a little flip out stand, and this one does. A little flip out stand where you set it up here. Now I haven't tried to pull that out on this one. Let's try it and see. Nope. Doesn't have a flip up stand on the back of it. So that's a challenge. One negative thing about the, what is it called? The MM450. Now to test a capacitor, the first thing you're going to want to do is de-energize this capacitor. And how you do that is as follows. Okay, we're going to show you how to de-energize this thing now. Sorry about that, I had to cut in and cut out. You're going to need to get you a screwdriver of some sort. I'm using a south wire here. Now this is for the breaker terminals, screws or whatever you want to call it. See the head on that? It doesn't have to be that. You can use any kind of screwdriver to get your hand on as long as it's insulated. Because this capacitor, if it's charged, will have voltage. Enough voltage in there to really make your hair stand up on top of your head. Now what you're going to do is, you're going to go, you'll see on top of the capacitor, this one has fan, Herm, and common. All capacitors should be marked. 3 different ones. Now this is the common. You take your screwdriver, make sure it's insulated. You just run it across there, short it out. When you short that out, it'll discharge it. Then take from common to the other one, which is a fan. Same thing, just short it out. That way you know you kill that capacitor and it won't be live. You don't want to play with one of these if it's hot. Make sure you discharge it. If not, you might be seeing a trip to the hospital, or you might be pushing those daisies tomorrow. Now to test this capacitor, you'll need to look at the side of it to see what the specifications are. In this case, it's a 35.6. And let me write that down so we can compare it. 35.6. Put a dash beside it, at 5%. Now, this is a dual start capacitor. What I mean by dual start is this will operate 2 things at one time. The compressor's on one side, the fan's on the other side in an AC system. So one side's going to start it and one side's going to run it. Now let's check it. You're always going to start from the common side, which is going to be right here. You'll take your meter, like I said, turn it on where I told you to go earlier. And you're going to put the negative on the C side, and then you're going to put your positive on the opposite side. Give it a moment. It doesn't read just real quick. You see that says 3514. I hope you can see that in the camera. Let me turn it around. Maybe that'll help you a little bit better. And I'll put this underneath the back of it, so maybe you'll be able to read that. How about that? That's better. There you go. Let's go back to it. Black on common, red on the other one. See, that's got a delay, 35.16. So let's write this down. Okay, that's on the start side. Do the same thing on the other terminal. See the delay? What happened there? I can't see it. There we go. Turned it off for some reason or another. All right, let's go back and do this one more time. Sorry about that, folks. What's it going to show us? 6.03. And you may do this a couple of times. .03. Okay. Move these capacitors out of the way. This is one we're working on. Now, if you look at your numbers, the rating is 35. Bring that over here, 35.16. If it's anything lower than that 35, that means this capacitor is bad. We're a little bit high, which is fine. It's just right in range, basically. A little bit over because it's 5% above or 5% below that 35. So do your multiplication and get your adding machine calculator out, cell phone. We get a 5% on that 35 and see if it stays, parameters are there. Should be fine. Now the other one was 6.03. The reading on it was, let me show you the actual capacitor. Hopefully you can read that. I'll do it slow enough where you can get a better take on it. It's 6.03. 5% of that, of the 6, puts you in range. So this is a good capacitor. Now also keep in mind that when you're replacing these capacitors, that the volts of 250 VAC must match or be compatible with the motor that you're running. The motor on the spec sheet on the motor or the tag on the motor, it will also tell you what voltage and what capacitor. Like a 35 microfarad, a 6 microfarad, it'll have UF behind it, which we consider to be microfarads. And it'll give you all the information you need. It'll actually tell you how to really wire those things up basically too. So that's a good capacitor. I doubt that I'm gonna find a bad one in this batch, but let's just check them all. This is an older capacitor here. And this is common. We spin it around. Put it on common. Let's see what it reads. 34.85. Let me write that down. 34.85. Do the other side, same way. .85 on that side. Got that delay. 4.10 is the other side. This capacitor is a 35 plus 4 microfarads at 5%. It's 270 volts, 3.6 and 0.4 amps. And it's a used capacitor. Now let's do the 5% rule. If it's rated at 35, 5%, 34.85 checks out good. The 4 microfarads at 4.10 checks out within 5%, plus or minus. So this is a good capacitor as well. Last but not least, this is a capacitor that I pulled off of a unit. No markings whatsoever. But let's just check it, see what it comes up with. This is common. Neutral. Nope. Got a little delay in that one. I wasn't making a good contact. 4.97. $34.33. Now we don't know the specs on this capacitor, but if you needed one that's probably, I'd say around 370, 340, 380, and you didn't have anything else, I'd give this one a shot. You can always hook it up and do an amp test on it, with the wires feeding it. But 4.97, 34.33. Tests pretty good. Something else I can tell you is that when you're testing the capacitor, if you want to know that it's bad because it might have went to ground, is go to common, put your wire on there, change this to ohms. Put your terminals together. You hear that beeping? Okay, ohm meters work. Go to common on one side and the case. If that thing goes to beeping, that means the capacitor shorted internally to ground. Anytime you hear that beeping on there, you can do any one of these you want to. That lets you know the capacitor is bad as well. Well guys, I am no specialist at capacitors. I know enough to be dangerous, but I do know how to test them properly. And if you follow my instructions in the video, you should be able to do the same thing. You may make sure you practice safety. The key to all of this, let me get the camera up here a little bit. Oh, there we go. Not high enough. Oh, let's get it up a little higher. What about now? Now I see you. Safety, safety, safety. Make sure the power is disconnected, turned off. If you're playing with live electricity, make sure you wear gloves and be safe. Electricity will kill you. AC is some tough stuff. It'll put you under the ground pretty quick. Be gentle with it and respect it because it will hurt you. But in closing, I hope I've taught you something on how to test a capacitor. We ask that you hit the like, subscribe button. We just know mom and pop channel out here trying to survive in this big YouTube world. It's pretty tough out here. And we'll put some links down in the bottom of the description to where you can purchase some of these capacitors if you need any of them. If you have any questions, thoughts, comment section, drop me a message and I'll respond as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day.